Hello and welcome back to Tetris. So last time we left off, we were here with a whole bunch of errors, and we just kept getting board is not defined and all sorts of issues. So today we're going to dive in and figure out why. What is the cause of this? So we did get a hint. It was in board line. Um, and I think, here, board.blocks. We want self.blocks. Sometimes when you refactor code, you realize that you made like small little errors that just happen to work. They were flukes, but they do cause some major problems when you go along. So we refresh, start game, board is not defined, board line 31, draw board. Cool. So that means we can draw self. and we just keep going like this. We just keep try again. Keep trying again. Oh, didn't pull that up. Getting more errors. Cannot read property columns of undefined. Block line 17 and 65. So block line 17 is here. Board.blob. What did it say? For 17, its push is undefined. So blob apparently is resolving to nothing. Board. I'm inside block again. So wait, but block has a board. Okay, we need to make sure that we're actually passing the right thing down to move down. So, because I know that was one of the things we changed, and we put that inside the engine here. So we do have, oh, yep, we need self.board, not just board. So self.board, 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 and I guess when we rotate right, we don't need one according to this. So come back, refresh, new game. Cannot read property columns undefined. Block line 65. Block line 65. It also has board, but that's passed in. Self.draw. Okay. What calls block.draw? Is it board? Does board self blocks for each draw self? Yes. So, let's see. Self. Okay, we may need to debug this a little bit, actually, figure out what's going on. Alright, so we need to locate the code, right? So we're going to go to line... it's in block. And we're going to go to line, 17 is the first one that happens. Board.blob. Self.collision board, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We're going to place a breakpoint here. And we're going to hit new game. Alright, and we hit this breakpoint, and board is of type board, has an area, blob, arrays, and bounds. Blob has 9 Y's. Is that backwards? I think it's backwards. I wonder if I defined the board backwards. You know, there's a fantastic way of checking. Go to the old code on GitHub. So let's log into the old code that's in Tetris. And let's see, Tetris here. And we're going to look at our JS folder, and we're going to look at index. And it's not in there. I think it got moved to engine during a lot of this stuff. 20, then 10. I bet you I'm defining 10, then 20, and that's also why the thing looks weird. So let's go with that, right? We're going to go 10, 20. Or sorry, 20 and then 10, right? 20, then 10. So in here, in our game, when we define an index, when we define a new, wait, engine? No, game. Yes, 20, and then 10. Okay. Now, what happens? New game. We get a full thing, and we get blocks. Look at that. We get blocks. Is it playable? Curious. All right. We get blocks. It looks playable. It does not rotate, however. I think I missed something on the rotate. Does the collision work? Yeah, I can't go right. I can't go left. Can I go down? Aha! So everything but rotate is working. So when you figure out why rotate's not working, we're going to get a hint, I'm sure, in here. All sorts of errors. Board is not defined. Block line 48. So let's look at block 48. Block line 48 here. Rotate right doesn't block. Well, I'm referencing board, but I'm not passing board in. So I'm referencing something that doesn't actually get passed in, which obviously isn't going to work. So we're going to go back to our controls, and we're now going to pass board in. Self board. Awesome. So now I believe if we refresh the page, hit new game, I can now rotate. Awesome. So after that refactor, it looks like we now have a working Tetris game again. You know, because we've had a working Tetris game. But now we have a much cleaner, more concise code base that allows us to be way more unique about it. Or not unique, way more creative, and we can add better features and stuff like that. Like I said before, when we finally finish the last bit of collision, we're now getting into the higher level programming that we don't have to be so concerned about the mathematics and all those tiny little things anymore. Engine building is a passion of mine, and I really love being down at that level, but sometimes it's really nice to step back and not have to worry so much about that really high level or really low level mathematics and craziness and all that stuff. So what are we going to do now? I guess we need to figure out probably some small UI stuff, I think, is the way we're going to go. So I'm going to close this down before I get too distracted. And we're going to let's start putting some stuff up on here for like scores, right? So a game is going to have a score. So self dot score, right? And we're going to set the score to 0 at the beginning, obviously. We're also going to do self dot controls paused score board engine. So we have what else we're going to have? I guess we could have like a block count, and we can show them like how many blocks have come onto the have come onto the actual screen, or you know, how many have they actually settled down. So we'll do we'll put in a block count, and that's going to equal 0 initially as well. All right. So now we need to actually start, I guess, we need to work with the logic here for the scores. Or should we work on the UI first? Probably should work on the UI. So, you know, I really like this stuff. I really don't want to like mess it up or do anything weird to break it. But I wonder what's been done. So in our CSS wrapper, height, margin, width, margin, height, box, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, so we flip back over, and we need some place for score. And what I'd really like is for the score to just kind of sit on top of the box. So let's see if we can do that. All right, so we're going to do P, and we'll say score, and we'll put inside of it a span. This is a nice trick for those that have been trying to do this kind of thing with their. They just want to replace a tiny piece of a string. Put a span there and put the put something on it that can help you. So ID equals, and for now we'll just call it score, and we'll leave it blank for the moment. And then what you can do is inside of let's see, we'll create a new thing called displays. So score, and that'll equal dollar score equals score. Okay, and then what we can do with that is we come in here and we can pull that in as a display. And so self dot displays equals displays. Cool. Oh, displays. Then when we start a game, we want to set the score equal to 0. So we could do self.displays.score equals, or no, dot HTML will be score, or 0, right? So that's going to place a 0 there. And I guess we should also reset our score. So self.score, in case we, played more than one game already. Reset that back to 0, and self.block count is also equal to 0. Another display I want to pull in is the block count. So I'm just going to call it count. Well, no, blocks. Now block count. We'll call block count. Equals $ID block count. Nope, not that, comma. And block count $block count. Cool. Pull that in, and now we can say self dot displays block count.html is also equal to 0. Now you guys are going, well, you didn't add that element. I know. So we can say score this, and then we can say blocks span ID equals block count for now. Just really crappy UI. I'm known for really crappy UI, but I make things work amazing in the back. Yeah, that's fine because that's adding a new positive. Okay. block count. Okay, so now that we have this kind of working, we have our score here, but when do we actually okay, so now we're going to start getting into some of the, I think, we're going to have functions on here that are public that are going to start coming in as well. So self dot add points, we'll say, and that's going to equal a function that will take an argument of points, how many points to add, and so then we can go self dot score plus equals points. So, and then block count, so self dot add block for now. Well, that's not a good name because that might be like we're adding another block into the game. More self dot add to block count, or increment blocks. Increment block count equals function. That doesn't need any arguments because we know we're going to go up by 1 every time we call it. So we can just do self dot block count plus plus. And since we're using jQuery and not something like Angular, that means we also need to update our displays every time that this happens. So we can do self dot displays dot what was it? Score dot HTML equals self score to string. Okay, and then we would do self dot displays block count HTML self block count to string. Is the toString really necessary? I think so. It's good practice and stuff like that. So when we start, we are going to have to pass down a reference to game in order to get, because the engine and all that stuff is going to have to call back essentially and go, hey, they got another point. Hey, they got another point. Hey, they got another point. So we're actually going to pass the game in. So when we call start on the engine, we're going to pass in the game. Or how about when we create the engine, we'll pass in the game. So pass in self. And now we need to go to the engine file, and that's going to pull in now a game object. And so now, check blob rows. What does check blob rows do? Where's that board? Board. Check blob rows. And then if blah, okay. And then what we can do is if we pass the game into here as well, we can do game.add points 10, right? So we add 10 points every time the rows drop out. So that follows back to our engine, and we need to pass the game in here. Cool. So that should work actually. And then also every time a new block is added. So here, new block, board.new block. And here we can just do game dot increment block count. pretty simple actually. We just tie these things in where they belong, really, and then we should be able to just run it. It's up here, it's on the left, it's not the most pretty, but at least we can see that it's there. And as you see, when we start, it actually functions. We actually have a block count, and every time the block comes, it gets auto-updated, right? And then let's see if the score works. 10 points, look at that. I'm already scoring points. We've already got a block counter going. That was really simple, and that's what I mean. I don't say it just to say it. I really mean it. When you're designing your applications, if you're following a good objective-oriented approach, and you're following, good application design, which I know when you're starting out is hard to do, but refactor, 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 and refactor. Do not just let yourself, if you see code that's kind of a nightmare, look at it. Can you think of a way to fix it? Can you think of a way to organize it in a way that's better? And usually, if you think long enough and you work with it, you will, and then you'll remember those patterns, and you'll start becoming a better developer over time. And that's really what we're all after. That is the whole point of these videos, is to make to show people development in different styles. I'm not saying I am a fantastic developer. I'm not saying I'm a great developer. I'm not saying this is the way you should do it. This is one way, and if you learn something from this, great. That's my only goal, to learn something. So we do have a score. It's way off-centered. It's not in the right position. But it works. Look, I'm already up to 60 points. I'm doing so well. 22 blocks down. Awesome. This is fantastic. This is a fun little game already. And but we do need the losing scenario. So we don't have anything that goes, oh, hey, wah, wah, wah. You ran off the top of the board. So there still needs to be some logic in that and stuff like that. So, but otherwise, this is starting to be a functioning game. There's actually a score, and it counts how many blocks you have. And as you saw, it was really super easy to implement after we had good design. So focus on your design, but don't let yourself not code because of design. That's what refactoring is for. You're never going to get it exactly right the first time. If you've watched this video from the beginning, and if you haven't, I do recommend it. You will see how much I've changed the code from what it looked like originally. I've moved things around. Do that in your own applications. Move things around. Make it better. Try it. If it's not better, then you can just switch it back, or you can switch it to something else. So just do something. I say that a lot. Just do something. You have a great idea? Go do something. Put something on paper. Put something on code. Or put something in code and try it out. It may not work, but it might. And I guarantee you, either way, you'll learn something. Alright, so that'll do it for this this episode of Tetris. And as always, go check it out on the website. Go play it. Have fun with it. And if you are interested in adding some of your own stuff to it, please submit a pull request. I would love to review your pull request and pull it in. I'm really just, if you're making any sort of improvement or any sort of contribution to the game, I'd like it in here. You want to change the color of the background? There's already a color of the background. Maybe try adding color selection, where you can have themes, or you can allow players to have a choice of different backgrounds that they may want for the game. So yeah. It's a lot of fun doing these video series for you, and I'd like to definitely continue doing it in the future. So also suggest new series. I am starting to think of some maybe new ideas, and I've got another series going on right now called Capitalia, where I am playing with Angular 2. I know, it's not even released yet. That's how crazy it is. So you can either join me in the heartbreak for that, or suggest another video type, and I'll be sure to try to make it happen. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you guys next time.